Make the change, rearrange, and life seems strange, but you gotta keep your aim, stay focused on the game, don't quit. Quitters never win, winning all begins when you begin to believe in yourself again, yeah. Ready, fire, aim, gotta get that. Negativity in my life, gotta get that. Positivity tastes sweet like a Kit Kat. Unity in the community is how we get that change. Rearrange your thoughts and your patterns, man. You can change anytime, you just need a plan. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. If you make a plan, then your boat will sail. All across the seas of life, I need the light to keep leading me tonight. I need it right, what I believe I write. I leave a light, planting the seeds of life, yeah. Make the change to win, yes you can. Make the change to win, make a plan. Make the change to win, you can. Make the change to win. Change to win, we gonna.
And we are back, another episode of Eduardo.live Empowering Monday. And today I have a very special guest with me, Nicole P. Jones. It just says Nicole on your label, but it's Nicole P. Jones, actually. I know her name very well, I would say, because we have some history, I would tell you. I came on LinkedIn like 2 years ago, because I was writing my book that is finally coming out in March. I signed with a publisher, actually. Yeah, but it's not. It's not the whole book. It's actually an introduction to me as an author, an introduction to my 3 coming books. Because since I met you, I have written so much that now I actually 3 books.
Nice.
Yes.
Love it.
Can I share it with you? One second. I have to share it with you. And
what's going on behind the scenes, I see. That's awesome.
Yeah, you were one of the persons that inspired me actually to continue this journey of trying to share my story, that it's okay to be yourself, I would say. It's nothing wrong with being just you.
Yes. Uniquely you. I agree.
Yeah, everybody's unique. So that is actually...
I like it. So we're starting with the way of the passionate, right? Because
we're starting actually with EduardoX.
The one at the very top.
And not only that, we're actually opening up for people to come with nuggets and share their wisdom through the book, actually. So each chapter will have a nugget from another person in my network to share something. I wanted to invite you to share something on the book, because for me, you meant a lot, actually, because when I spoke to you the first time, I remember it was you and it was Nehal, actually. You were the 2 ones that I interacted with almost in the instant, entering LinkedIn to share my writings.
Yes.
And I was and with you, it was with Snehal, it was the same. I felt so aligned, we're old friends that haven't met for long time.
I know. It's also when it happens that way, right? When you meet someone and you just start wow, I feel like I grew up with you, or we have similar beliefs or similar things that have happened to us, or that kind of thing. It's always refreshing when you meet people on a platform, a social media platform, that you're oh, they're real. They're real. They're not just kind of hiding behind content or hiding behind a picture or a title. They're an actual real person that matters and has a lot to give the world. And so I really, really appreciated having our first conversation.
Yeah, it was amazing. And this is the thing I try to explain to people that are not into LinkedIn, right? I tell them that they can't get this part when I tell them that, I have people on LinkedIn that I'm closer with than some of the people I grew up with all my life,
Absolutely.
And they can't relate to that, How can you get that online, Eduardo? You never met them in your life. And then I try to explain to them, when you align with somebody, it's not about you need to be 1 meter from each other or something like that. You do it with your mind and with your heart and with your soul, and that is the expression that you show to each other through words and everything, And
and I also think that, not to interrupt you, but I also think that lots of times we meet people, that are in our surroundings or people that we grew up with. And I think sometimes we take things for granted, or we have these assumptions about people and we don't really build a strong foundation. And I feel like the people that I have met online that I've really clicked with, we built a strong foundation. We've really gotten to know each other. Like, where are you from? We've talked about really vulnerable things that matter in a relationship or friendship with someone. And so, that's what I've loved the most when I've met someone off of LinkedIn, that I've really connected with, where I've shared and I can be fully who I am 100% and share whatever. If it's something about being teased as a child for my dark skin or whatever, that person can take it and say, and they listen and they can validate and acknowledge the pain that maybe I've gone through, and vice versa. But those are real conversations for me. And that's really what I'm about. I like realness, right? Realness.
And you just said everything I wanted to say, so now I don't need to say it. Thank you. So now we can move on that part. So everybody tuning in, like, okay, now you understand, like, LinkedIn can be really powerful and you can actually have really good friends, actually. When we connect through friendship, I would say, like, if you ask me for something, Eduardo, could you please do that? I will do that. I will not even ask you why, because that is how I feel for you, like, yeah. I feel this friendship that if Nicole asks me something, I will do it because you gave me so much. Because when I spoke to you, I remember that I was so afraid of speaking in public because I hated my voice. I like, it was so many things I had going on. So I had a dream of a podcast, but for me, it was like to reach the first podcast, to be able to speak in front of people on a camera. For me, it was like, I saw like, that is another city, right? That was the distance in my mind to reach there.
Yeah, and so, what I want to say, it's crazy, right? Because when we first talked and we were talking about, you originally reached out because you wanted a speaker coach, right? And which has evolved in so many ways in our relationship, friendship of just speaking. We talk about parenting and the trials and tribulations of that, and homeschooling and all this stuff, and having boys that have a lot of energy. So it's interesting how that's all transpired after that one conversation. And I just want to say on live with you how proud, capital letters, I am of you for doing this show now, for doing these lives, for talking, for speaking in front of people, because I really feel, sometimes we hide behind the accent, or the English isn't that good, or another language isn't that good. And at the end of the day, it's where hearts connect. If hearts can connect and people can understand your message, all the other stuff, even though it is of fear, does not matter, because those that you're supposed to connect with and those that feel your heart and feel your passion will be there for you and will support you. So I just wanted to say in front of everyone that's watching this that I am truly, truly proud of you for taking that step forward. It's amazing.
And this is the thing that I feel so amazing, is that what you did is actually that you unlocked the door by you just turned the key, right? That's what you did.
And I didn't even know I turned the key.
Yeah, and you didn't do it like it was not we're going to do 10 sessions, Eduardo, you're going to get this level. You did that in one talk with me, and for me it was like the lock that was there. The door didn't open immediately, right? But at least the lock went away, like there was no lock anymore. And I was like, I need to look here. And it was like peekaboo. It's like,
okay, I'll shut the door. I'm not sure I'm ready yet.
And I have to be honest and say that I closed it again immediately. And then I opened it again and I started to look more. And then I opened it more and more and more. But I strongly believe that if you haven't had that power talk with me that you actually had, maybe, I don't even know if you did it consciously, but your power talk you had with me the first time we spoke, that was so powerful that actually now I'm here. And I think if I didn't have talked with you that day,
Sorry, I have like sun problems over
yeah,
here.
I see that. So I think that if I haven't talked to you that day, I think that maybe I will not be speaking here with nobody. I would still be hiding behind my keyboard and my words. I would say, no, that is how I speak with you. Like, I don't talk on camera.
Well, I just, because you kind of didn't want to talk on video with me either. Like you wanted to kind of hide behind and just use audio. But you had a lot of stuff going on too. You had the kids running, and I understand we always had the kid running in the background. And it's like, oh, let's get the video off real quick. But no, I don't even know if I consciously knew that, Eduardo, that's just kind of my personality, because I'm so interested in who a person is. Like when I have a conversation with a person, I'm there. I want to know all the ins and outs. Like when I ask you how you're doing, I really mean, how are you doing? It's not just a nicety that I just throw away at the side of just being like, oh, I'll just ask, and hopefully he won't really tell me how he's doing so that I don't have to really engage. No, I really want to engage. And that's just who I've always been as a person, that if I set up a call with you and talk to you, it wasn't a call of me trying to sell you on something and you'd reached out for services, but I was just like, oh, we're just having a conversation, and I don't know. It was a very interesting conversation on my end too. Like I enjoyed it. I enjoy talking to people from all over the world. And I do believe language doesn't always have to connect people. It really is where your heart is centered. And I think that can actually open so many doors for people. I think we like to hide behind our speech or how well we can speak to someone, or is our message effective enough, or whatever that thing is. But I believe what transpired was supposed to transpire. I think it was your time, and I guess it was my time to step up to the plate and talk to someone the way that I normally do. But there must have been something that I kind of tweaked, or something in that conversation that really stuck with you. And so I'm so grateful that we could have that conversation and that they continue.
I think this is my conclusion now, like analyzing all this, because Madeleine Black, she has a video on YouTube that I watched before I think even enter LinkedIn, actually. It was like the unspeakable, about something horrible that men did to her when she was a young teenager, a young woman, I would say. And I cried actually during her talk. It was so painful to watch, but at the same, I felt so aligned with her, and
you felt that immediate connection.
Yeah, I felt that immediately, and I got the courage actually through that video, and then I actually had the chance to speak with her, because I immediately felt I need to speak to this person.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I think you did the same, because you had a post or a video. I don't know what you had, but you had something.
I don't even remember what it was.
You had something. I think it was a post. I don't remember exactly what you had, but I thought that it was the same. Like that post touched me somehow, and I need to speak with Nicole. The same with Madeleine, right? And then I spoke with Madeleine, and not long after, I actually shared that story where I wrote Way of the Passion. I think 1 month after. Before that, I have only been written like light stuff, you could say, like how do you recruit better? Like how I was only like scratching
the surface, just kind of talking about
like, how will people react to my dysgraphia, how will they react to my text, blah blah blah. So I was not like going full in, right? She propelled me to go full in. This is the thing that I think my conclusion is that all of you have something that you touch people.
Must have some kind of X factor. Factor that I don't know
think
about.
This is beyond X factor, I would say. This is like reading The Secret or something like that, It's like you have this kind of gift, I would say. Aww. Is this the first time somebody tell you that you have something special, or have you heard this before?
It's not the first time. It's just that I am just the type of person, and maybe people don't know this about me, but I get touched very easily by really kind words said to me. I'm all about helping, but when those words come back to me, it's like, whoa, that touched me. I didn't know that's where that was going. So they're very, very heartfelt. So that's why you keep hearing me say, oh, like, because I feel I'm just living, right? I feel I'm just living. I am that person that stands in a grocery line and hears about someone's tough day. If I say, oh, how are you? Or they bump their cart and I'm like, that's okay. Like, hope you're having a good day. And then they start saying they don't have a good day and they're telling me all about their life. I don't know. I do have a way of talking to strangers as if I've known them my entire life. And I don't know if it's because I just have a way of making people feel welcomed and feel heard. But I have just always been like that. And I don't know if it's because I've struggled with sometimes feeling like I've been heard or people are there for me. So I feel like I've spent a lot of time being that person for others. And I don't care where you're from, your religion. I don't care. I just want to know you as the person. And I have met some amazing people in my lifetime because I have just said hi. Just said hi.
I think you have that gift. You have that special gift that I'm so happy that I can have you in my life so everybody can get to know you, right? That didn't know you from before, because like I said, you're the one, like I still credit you. Like I haven't forgotten, like sometimes I tag a lot of, I have gotten to know a lot of people since we met the first time, right? I had
you've so blossomed. I mean, since we met.
Yeah, it's like one.
I really could just be a nobody now, because you've met so many people.
No, never. I have like 12,000 followers. A lot of people like reach out to me, right?
Yeah.
But I still like when I comment something, I want to like tag people. I still tag you, right?
I know, and I feel honored.
I still tag you.
So I'm so happy that I touched a special place in your heart. I mean, again, I did not know that was that special. That was just me being me.
Yeah, but I think you have this gift that I think a lot, and maybe that's when I should ask you the question, right? It's like, what propelled you to be Nicole P. Jones, coach, like the person that help others, like how you do, right? So maybe we should start by telling a little bit what you do today, because I remember when I met you the first time, it was like speaker coach was the focus, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's interesting. I think you grasp onto speaker coach. I would say what really leads is executive coaching. But speaker coaching is kind of like my hidden, like, I can't wait to like help somebody with that, with TED Talks or keynote speeches, that kind of thing. And then I also do interview prep coaching for people, because some people have been in jobs for so long and they get this opportunity and they're like, man, I haven't interviewed in like 10 years or haven't interviewed in 5 years. It's like, let's sit down. Let's see, what it's like when I ask you some questions and we play the role. So I do some of that as well. But, my life's mission has always been to help where and when I can, because I can. Now, I have always been Nicole. Like I can't think of a time when I wasn't helping someone. And it's not always me having to go out of my way to try to find that person to help, that special deed for the day, that special kind words or whatever. I get asked this question a lot of, how did you become who you are, and being kind and a helper and that kind of thing. And
before you go back in memory lane, I just have to say something more, is that for me, you're on another level. I would say, like, if somebody said, like, I say, like, you need a soul coach, you need to talk with Nicole. Like, for me, that's like the highest level, like a shaman or something like that. You're on this level to me. Like you're like on this other level, I would say. I have a life coach, Thomas Strand. He was like my first, I would say, like serious coach, even if he's my friend, right?
Yeah.
After the burnout, this entrepreneur network founder alliance, the head of the organization, he said, he called me, he was very worried. He said, Eduardo, we need you back. Like, I know that you're suffering. I know that you're not feeling good. Like, because I was in a very deep depression, right? So he said, you need to talk to somebody. Please do me that favor. And I was like, I don't want to meet. I'm in a depression. I don't want to talk to nobody, not even myself. Like, So anyways, I agreed to that, and I met this person, Thomas Strand. Actually, he's quite known in Sweden. He's been on television and stuff, talking about his like burnout comeback. He was an entrepreneur. He burned out 3 years in the sofa of his parents, and then he came back again and doing his thing, right? He's just such an amazing person, I would say. So it helped me out a lot to understand everything and to come back. And then like some years ago now, like the burnout was like 10 plus years ago, like 11, 12 something, right? So 3 years ago, I told him like, Thomas, I need to speak with somebody new. Like, I want to speak with somebody different that I haven't spoke with before. Like, who would you recommend? He said, oh, maybe you should meet my coach. And I was like, do you also have a coach? Yeah. So I met the coach of my coach, and I would say that was like meeting like Yoda, I would say, in or you know, like in Star Wars, like you're meeting like the father of the Force, you could say, like the Force itself. I was going to meet, you know, I was very nervous. I remember for that meeting, like I'm going to meet my coach. My coach has a coach, and that must be like the coaches of coaches, right? Yeah. If you're the coach of coaches, that's like. So I met this person, and I came to the office and I talked like I usually do. He said, okay, tell me about you. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. And all these things, right? He said nothing for half an hour. He just looked at me like, and then he's like, stop. So he went to the whiteboard, and now my attention was on him. Like I was, man, why did I talk so much again? Like, Eduardo, you need to.
You're like a kid in a candy shop.
Yeah, like, oh my God, I like, he will not want to work with me, I thought, but I'm doomed. Like, so he wrote on the whiteboard, he wrote like 2 circle, and then he wrote inner self, outer self. Then he said, who are you doing all this for? And I didn't understand the question. And then when I understood the question, I got so depressed. I was like,
because it's a deep question when you really
it's a deep question, you know, like, and I was like, are you telling me that I want to write my book just to show how like good I am and all this kind of thing? He said, no, I don't have the answer for that question. I said, because I told him maybe I should burn the book, you know. He said, no, don't do that. I'm not saying that, Eduardo. I'm just trying to make you aware that we have like 2 things. We have the inner self, we have the outer self. Like the inner self is you, like the true you, like the naked truth of you. And usually we're not aware of that. Usually we live the outer self. It means the expectation of other, the expectation of society, all these kind of things, right?
Society pressures, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, meeting this the gurus of gurus, like coming back from that experience, I was like, oh my God. Like the only thing he had left before I left the meeting was like, if he elevates, I will not even blink, you know. It's like,
yes, what are you saying?
like something like that. So then that is for me, you know, you have that gift, you know, you have that thing, you know, like that. I think that is what people connect with you, you know, you have this thing inside you, you know. So I want to know, like, if let's go back all the way, like childhood, like how was it, like bring us up through memory lane, like Nicole, like, what do you think made you into the Nicole you are today? Or maybe you were born this way and you never figured out, like just being yourself, like you said, you know.
No, I mean, look, I think we do have we all have events, activities, things that happen that kind of make you who you are. I do believe I was born into a family of service. You know, my parents were always serving someone, helping someone. And I just saw that as I was growing up, you know. But you also don't know how to foster that. You also don't know what that means to you, because we just kind of start doing what we see, right? We do what we learn, what we see. But I do think, and I'm so grateful that I got to see a life of service with my parents, so that it kind of started becoming taught to me, or at least I was able to learn a bit of it. But, you know, I just always wanted to help somebody. I always wanted to listen. I will tell you, I was a talkative child and I'm still a talkative adult today. I used to get in trouble a lot for talking so much. And for a while, I got in trouble in school for talking so much. My report card would come home and it'd be like, yeah, she was talking in class a little too much. But the talking in class was me helping others. Someone didn't understand how to do a problem, or someone didn't understand a word that they were reading. And I was like thinking I was helping these people, right? So even though I got in trouble for talking too much, I was still talking in the vein of doing good, right? But I learned, I don't even know, having been called talkative my entire life, there was a part of me that said, if I talk so much, am I even listening? And I didn't know if I was. Like, I didn't have an answer to that. I still was helping and still trying to provide my input for people. But there was a point where I said, you know what? As much as you talk, maybe should equal as much as you listen. So I really, really started working on my listening skills and trying to be more quiet and entering a room and just becoming an observer and not always being so quick at the mouth to want to, say something and, oh, pick me and that kind of thing. And it can be tough for talkers. It can be
How
really
old
tough.
was you when that started to shift? Like when you started to do it consciously, how old were you then?
I was probably getting ready to go into college, and that's probably a little late for some. It could be early for some. But I would say going into college because, I was leaving behind familiarity, right? I was very popular in my high school in terms of, when I say popular, it was because I was SCA president and I was doing community service at my school and in my community. So I was just active. I was very out there. But for someone who's very chatty, talkative, however you want to call me, considered an extrovert, when I enter into a new arena, I can be quiet because I go into observing mode. I want to see, like, do I want to put myself out there yet? Do I want to see, like, who do I think is the brightest kid in the class? Do I want to put myself, it's like, I don't know if I want to be vulnerable yet, right? So I would say when I went to college, that trait started developing a bit more because I wasn't as confident in myself. I landed into a dorm of 5 other women who were all salutatorians and valedictorians of their class, the number 1 and 2 of their graduating high school class. I was, I think, 54th or 84th in a graduating class of 400 people. And I thought I was like, all that for being even above 100, right? In the top 100. It was a struggle when I first got into college. I mean, my first semester, I was on academic probation. I wasn't listening a lot. I think I was interested and I was out of my parents' house and I didn't have any kind of curfew and I could do what I wanted. I could look at boys. I could maybe taste a glass of alcohol if I there's just like things I was trying to figure out. And when I got my grades, my dad was like, yeah, you need to stop majoring in those boys and start majoring in those classes. And so, there were some lessons that I had to learn my first year in college, and listening was one that just I kept building upon. I was really, really trying to understand where people came from. It was the first time where I had been around so many people that weren't from the States. Because once I go to college, it opens up to different types of people and different types of religion and all kinds of things. And that's when I really started being like, I love this. I want to know everything about you and your language and your culture back home and the food that you guys eat. And what would be your meal that your mom would put on the table if I came over to eat dinner with you? And people are like, why do you care? Well, because I'm just interested, and I always had a passion for people as a child, but I really started kind of diving into that more and more when I got to a situation where I could be around others that didn't look, speak, believe like me, and start getting all these different types of personalities coming my way. And that really stretched my mind That stretched my listening because, hey, they're talking about something that I don't know anything about. And so college was really when I would say I started fostering the listening skill and realized how important it is for communication. And then I was always that go-to person. Anytime someone had anything going on, something wrong with their class, something wrong with someone they were dating, a parent or someone, people would come to me as if I had the book of right, and I was always like, oh, I don't know. I think you just be honest. Just have an open, honest conversation. Just listen, though. Make sure you listen to the other person. Hear their side. Don't judge first. Hear their side first if they're off for it, And I don't know. That's just kind of how I guess it all started for me. Because you've asked, I don't believe I've ever sat to think about, when did Nicole, by the way, the P stands for Patrice. When did Nicole Patrice Jones get this way? I always feel like it was always there, but I just continue to nurture and feed that desire and curiosity I've always had.
This is what happens to many people. They go to university now. The parents are not there anymore. They can become like whoever they want, and that is what happens usually. Is my conclusion is that, and that happened to me also, right? Like, because when you live in your hometown all your life, there's even a saying, you can't become preacher in your own city, right? There's even a saying about that, and that is so true, because all the things around you, your friends, family, the city itself has put you in this kind of box. Yes. So there you are. You're in that box. Like you're like the emo kid. You will be the emo kid forever. It doesn't
matter. That's all they have.
Like we can't have the emo kid as a major. No, we can't have him as a major. Like, get out of here, emo kid, right? So the emo kid moves to New York or start to study in university, right? And becomes the major, right? So this is what I discovered, is that when you can come out of that kind of cocoon, right? And it could happen also inside of your own city, you would say. That could also happen, but the chance is likelier to happen when you move, actually, like to university or I don't know, you do something different in your life. So for my children, is as soon as they are done with everything and they need to go to university, I will get out of here.
Move away. But there's something to be said about trying new things and also understanding what you learned and what you believe, right? I was always an empath. That is something that's never changed. I was teased severely as a child of being, she's so sensitive. Just get over it. Just get over it. You're crying. You're upset about something, So I was labeled the sensitive child. Like everybody, Nicole, you're so sensitive. Just get over it. Right. And that scarred me for a very long time. Words really do matter. And the empathy that I have for people, I think that has kind of helped me with the whole listening, right? I really do care what people have to say. And it sucks when people make you feel less than what you are, right? And so because of the things that I was bullied on as being too sensitive or being too dark skinned or being such a tall girl or having really big feet or whatever it was, or really big hands. I was teased by so many things. I was buck teeth. I had a headgear. there was so much stuff. I came out of all those times.
I think I could write a book about I would say I could write an article about my successes and my joys in life, but I think I could write a whole encyclopedia of all the things I was called, of all the failures that I did myself, not even being called,
we can do that. We could write that together.
Yeah, we could write that together. I was called so many things. For me, hearing the expression that they said in Sweden was blackhead, right? That was for colored people like me, that was one only expression. It was blackhead. Svartskalle is in Swedish, right? For me, that was like nice because it wasn't personal, right? Not in a deeper level. But when they started with these things about my look or how I spoke, because I still have this thing, you know, I had a speaking disorder when I was a child. I don't know what happened, but what I heard was something that I was very sick, and my sister also, when we were small, because we were suffering, you know, from not having enough food. Like Chile was going from a difficult time, you know. So I got very sick. My immune system were not maybe the best, you know. So I got so sick that I still had to do this kind of test growing up, you know, if I was like developing in a normal way, you know. And one of the things was my speech. Like I couldn't say the word S. I said sh, something like that, right? And I went some health through because of that, like pronunciation.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I had my dysgraphia that I was not even aware of. So the teacher said, like, I wouldn't understand your child, like Miss Sara Rodriguez. Like he's clearly more intelligent than the rest of this. Like I don't know even what to call his friends. Like, and we understand he got that from his books, right? Like, but he doesn't show it in grammatics. He doesn't show it in school. Like we can't figure out your son. Maybe he's dumb after all. And my poor mother.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah.
So I say words hurt, I would say, but it's the type, I think it's like who says the word and how they say it. That is the hardest part, I would say.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, because I forgot what the saying is, but you know, when it's like if someone spits on you, you never forget that, right? You just never forget the act that went into someone spitting on you. And I don't know if anyone's ever spit on you, but I've had someone spit on me before, and you just don't ever forget that experience. It's disgusting, but it makes you feel like the lowest of the low, right? So I think through those kinds of those times and trying times and just being teased and picked on so long, that I turned my sensitivity self into a feeler. I've renamed it. I'm just a very strong feeler. And I, lack of a better way of saying it, because of my feelings, I feel like when people talk to me, I give them that space for them to feel as well, for them to feel like they can share something with me or to me, and I will just hold it. And I'm not gonna judge. I'm not gonna make fun, because I know how that felt. I know how it still feels, you know? And so I don't know. I'm just not one that's gonna do unto others that negatively that's been done to me. You know, I'm going to stay high and just be as positive as I can, and not try to belittle myself down to where they are. But, you know, as a child, that kind of weighs on you, right? But I've not allowed that to turn me into some negative person who is just mad at the world. Don't get me wrong. I have my days. And 2020 was a year that really pushed the limits with my thoughts and aggravations sometimes. But I know that on the other side of 2020, there's going to be more rainbows. And so I kept trying to fight for the positive, and those that wanted to be negative. I started to separate myself from either the chatter or from the views or whatever, because I don't want it to change that sense of spark or whatever you see in me. I don't want that to change. And what I spent 2020 doing is really listening to myself and just being where I want to be versus being where other people think I need to be, and being a way that and not fully being who I want.
I finally found love again, I would say. After the death of my mother, I thought that I would never experience, how can you say, unconditional love. I thought it was gone out the window. But when my son was born, oh my God, like that day, this rush, this thing that I felt, it was like it was God coming down to earth and bless me, I would say. That is how it felt, and now my son growing up, like we talked before, you and me, like he has this kind of thing with like anger, and he has different difficulty expressing his feelings, I would say.
Yeah.
So
I can definitely relate on that with my child, and I'm not sure if, because of everything that's going on, this is an environmental thing, right? That if this is also playing into who they are, right? It's so hard for a child to express how they're feeling with what's going on right now. They're looking at mommies and daddies and other people of authority, and people are not all right now. A lot of people are struggling, and kids see glimpses of some of this stuff. We try not to have the news on and let them see the crazy things that are happening around the world. But sometimes we miss something, and it pops up, and all of a sudden there could be something that you see, right? They really just have a hard time expressing themselves. I mean, my son was excited that it was MLK Day, but is so angered at 7.5 as to why he would have been assassinated. So angered, so upset. He goes from people are dumb that believe what they believe. Like, we don't like to use the word dumb or stupid or idiot or anything like that, but that's his anger starting to fester when he's like, people are just dumb. And I'm like, well, we don't say that, but they are, and he says that, and he'll say that in one sentence, and then 2 sentences later, he's crying. It's just so sad that people can't just love each other. And you're sitting there as a parent, like, what do you say? What do you say to that? Right? Because in that moment, I go back to being that 8-year-old child that wants to sit there and cry with them I wish people loved me too. I don't get it either. I was an 8-year-old child that thought it was also dumb. I don't get it either. And so hearing you talk about Nico and the anger, and sometimes them being able to express themselves, it's tough, because I have it as well. He gets, you could ask him to please get off the computer, or gaming is done, or whatever, and you would have thought that I asked like, the biggest possible thing to have to achieve in like just a few minutes, and it's like, oh, hell breaks loose, and you're just like, I don't think I got it. But in their world, they don't have much. They don't have much control. They're not able to play with all their friends. They're not, there's just so many things. So I'm trying to be a better listener with my 7.5-year-old child. I'm having, I do believe that every person, it could be adult, child, every person is a student and a teacher. And my child is definitely teaching me a lot during this pandemic. Patience, restraint, grace. There's so many things that I am learning more and more. And so I definitely empathize with you as you're talking to me about your children, and specifically Nico, because while they're very different, and the energy could be different or same, or the anger could be different or same, you got to give yourself some grace, because it's tough. It's tough because there's so much going on around us that we are struggling with as adults, then as parents, that these little minds have. They're like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just mad. Right? And we're supposed to be able to control our emotions, right?
yeah.
We don't always do it the best, but they don't know if they're coming or going. And it's hard some days. It's really, really hard.
It's very hard, because I thought like, oh my God, I built this amazing kind of level of resilience. I thought, right? Like nobody can, like the only one that could like scrub my back in a wrong way, I would say that was that the 2 meter man on the, because it was so many things. Like it was me against this big skinhead that wanted to kill me. All these things came back to life, right? So he like really scratched me the wrong way, I would say. But generally, I keep my cool. Like I have this kind of resilience that I don't panic. Like, oh, Eduardo, the house is on fire, and I like, okay, wait, yeah, okay, stop everybody. Okay, let's see what we should do. Okay, you hide there, you run there, you call, I will call there, like do, and then I'm the master of the chaos. I wasn't born like that. I was a very frightened child. I was very, very, how can you say, like my mother was very worried because of my sensitivity. You know, like I was a very, very sensitive child. I cried a lot. I didn't understand the world. I didn't understand humans. I was a very confused child, I would say. And on top of that, very sensitive, you know. So for me, I had to build that resilience, you would say, like by years and years and years grinding, you know, to reach that level. But my son, when he reaches his like peak, I would say, you know, with his
like
rage or like
monster that comes out.
I would say it's like an eruption, like when the volcano, I would call it the volcano because that's what it is, like because it happens this fast, like bang, it could be, and I can trigger it, like even like maybe I looked wrong at him, like anything can trigger it.
I'm looking at me, and I'm like, okay, so mommy can't look at you now. Oh, okay.
So then when the eruption happens in his volcano towards me, like all the resilience fly out the window. Like I'm so
look, high five across the
I'm so helpless that, and what happened was that we were having help with this amazing like person, like a therapist, you could say, like really, really good help. I would say it helped the situation, right? But what happened is that I filmed one of his like volcanoes episodes to show her, you know, like because she hadn't experienced that, so I had to. I shown her before, so she's very aware. But I wanted just to show her a special episode, just to this. I managed to film him when he got it out of the blue, you know, just to show her like it could come anytime, just to show her, you know. Mm-hmm. So I showed her that one, and I started to cry, you know. I started to cry because it's my son, you know, and I truly worry, like, what path will he take in life, you know, if he can't control that anger? Like, will he step on the side as I did? Like, how will this affect him, you know? And that is the hardest thing, like, for I think any parent, you know, like, when you don't know, like, okay, you know that your child is, for me, he's the most beautiful son. Absolutely. Like, he's my best friend, you know, like he's my best friend.
He's your buddy.
Yeah, like he's my mini me, I would say. Like, we go everywhere together.
Yeah, he's your little Nico.
So I that was hard watching that video, you know, and that I haven't cried in a long time, you know, because that's it, you know. I built this kind of resilience, stupid thing that I had to build just to pass the death of my mother. So I had to cry many years after that. So then I had to just stop, you know, because how can you say, I need to be strong for my children, I would say. But I'm still that sensitive child. The same when I was like this strong, I thought I was this strong, like 17-year-old tough boy. I was still the nerd. I was as sensitive as the day I was born.
I cry with my kid. My kid will cry, and I'll sit there on the floor and cry with him sometimes. I just, you know, my mom passed away 4 years ago. So your mom passed away before you had a child. And my mom passed away after my child was 3.5. And, you know, they're very different situations, but the commonality that we had was the strength of a mother, right? We had that strength of a mother, and they had things that they passed and things that they could say and guidance that they could give. And there's nothing like losing a mother. And then you become a parent and you're like, everybody else is calling their mom. I don't have anybody to call right now to figure all this stuff out. What would she say? Was he like me? Was I like this? Was it, you're trying to like figure these things out. But I commend you and appreciate your vulnerability around, talking about Nico and like doing that video. I would have cried too. I mean, geez, I'm about to cry listening to you talk about it because that's my sensitivity, right? I feel big, like big with people. And so that's actually something I've had to really push myself on, of trying to hold that space for others when they're losing it, because I will just go right in there. If we were on a call, maybe I would start crying with you on the other end. But I'm trying. And I have to do this with my clients, of sometimes trying to detach myself from that very moment, because I feel when someone else is crying, I feel. So I want you to know that I feel you on this call, of where you are as a parent and what you're going through. And I truly believe, the fact that you care and love this boy so much, and that you're trying to get guidance and better understanding. At the end of the day, sometimes we have to say, they're only 6, they're only 7, they're only 5, they're not adults, they're not teenagers yet. But I do believe it's important to make sure we nip it in the bud as a child, but also understand that some of the outbreaks or tantrums or whatever are actually kind of common. And the more I talk to people, the more I'm starting to learn that I'm not in this little boat by myself, and our children will be okay. And they're amazing in our eyes, but they're going to continue to be amazing in other people's eyes. I just know it. But I do too share that fear of, sometimes he erupts and I'm like, what? Like I hope he does not do this in front. Like, I mean, I have like a trigger in a different way too. Like, I can get really upset about him being so like mad or whatever. But then I get really sad, because I'm like, I hope that this is just a growing phase that we're going through. Because, I'm like, does he need to start talking to someone? And he just can't talk to, like, so it's I just want to say, I feel you. I feel you, and really respect the fact that you share that.
Like
I
I
really
said,
do.
this is what like for me, it's like, I don't know if it's the correct word is amuses, or it makes me feel so strange, is that when people say, Eduardo, do you have so much courage to talk about all these things? Because the only thing I'm talking about is about being human. Like, the
Your life.
difficulties I have with my son, that's what all the parents are passing through. And not
Correct.
only like, and this is the thing, like, I'm not even having it the worst. There are parents that even having like 10 times more worse than I have. I can tell you, like, at least his eruptions of this rage, they are actually getting less and less compared to when I asked for help. I can tell you it was 2 times per hour. 2 times per hour, the whole day he was awake. And I was screaming. I was like, I remember, I
You
went to
lose
talk.
it. I mean, let's
Yeah,
be honest. As a parent,
I
you lose
went to
it.
talk like with the kindergarten contact. I said, I need help. I'm drowning. I was actually, that is it. That is how I felt. I was totally drowning. I had no control at all. I didn't know where I was. Like, was it Monday, Tuesday? Like, the whole world turned upside down. And luckily, with the help from that we got, it's actually now down to maybe like 2 episodes in the day. Usually it's in the morning, maybe,
Wow.
or it happens when he comes home from
For school.
kindergarten. He lets it out, right?
Yeah. Then it can go home. Where's mom and dad? Like,
It's like,
I just
and
do
then
myself.
yeah.
You're
Now
like,
I
oh,
try to
here we
prepare
go.
myself. I can tell you, I try to prepare myself to yeah, like, okay, now Eduardo, today you will have resilience. Like, but after 1.5 hour of screaming, throwing stuff, it's like the whole areas I feel like a balloon, you take a needle and a puff, you have nothing left. And then I need to do my podcast, I need to record people, and I don't know how I find that strength to do it, and the only way I realize that I can find the strength is to talk about it, to be open about it, because that is why I realized by talking, like, there is nothing to be ashamed of. It's just being human.
Yeah, it's being human. And my mom told me, I think right when I had my son, when she was still living, she was like, man, you wait till she was trying to tell me about certain ages and stages and things that he would start going through. And she was reminding me about how I was with her and my smart, fresh mouth and all this kind of stuff. She was reminding me, but she said, I will tell you this. While it will be challenging for him to have a certain behavior at home, if your child goes and is able to go out into the world and be a wonderful human being and treat other parents with respect, if he goes over to their house, or treat his teacher or any other authoritarian figure with respect, you're doing your job. And when he comes home and he lets his hair down and he acts wild, just know, be thankful that he's respectful outside of the home.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, okay, like, because, he was a baby. I often go to her words because I know what I see at home, the craze, the talking back sometimes, the yelling, the fits, throwing something or whatever, is nothing he has ever done with anyone outside the home. So he truly feels comfortable with mommy and daddy and being like, well, I need to just let off some steam or whatever. But when he's with his teachers, utmost respect. His Taekwondo master, utmost respect.
That is the thing. I also concluded that he can do this to me, but please don't do it outside, and he managed to actually, like you said, so then I started to think more positive. And what is most happy moment now is that I discovered one passion that he has, and that is drawings.
Oh,
because
I
tried everything with him. I take him to gymnastics, I take him to all kinds of stuff, but
nothing was really his thing.
Because he's so random. Every day something new in his, like, he's so creative. For me, that's what I call him.
Is he into Minecraft and Roblox and all that? Or?
Yeah, like, like you and me, we're on Facebook. You have reached my personal space, so you're my Facebook. So you have seen the post, right?
Him on there with his headphones.
When I call him, I call him like my little Andy Warhol, right? I need you to show you this stuff.
He's a little gamer. I may need to connect him with my little Henry. Oh.
He do these crazy drawings, and what I have done is that I have encouraged him to draw, and I have told him that we will make clothes because he likes clothes also now. He started to select.
Oh, he's fitting into his style.
Not only that, we went to the mall the other day, and he wanted to cut his hair, and not where I usually cut him, where it's a little cheaper. He went to the real fashion thing that cost me a fortune, and he wanted that haircut, and it had to look this way, Daddy. And that is so.
Yeah, I mean, your kids are so cute, and your daughter.
So
adorable.
This is what I did, is that I encourage him now to make these clothes that we're going to print next month.
I love it.
So we're doing like his own brand, you could say. That is his new thing that I'm doing.
Will I be able to get this in the States?
What?
Will I be able to get this in the States?
No, I will just send it to all. I will send you one to. I will send to your kids, man. I will send to all my friends, So it's just for encouraging him,
I love it.
So he did this crazy rabbit. I don't know what they are called. His things that he do, but that is.
I love the rabbit.
So what I want to say with this is that never give up on your children, because this is how I felt many times, and I will admit it. I will admit it that I have been so frustrated and being so lost in the whole battle with him, like trying to figure him out. I almost like, well, what should I do? Like, I almost felt that.
You feel defeated?
Yeah, I felt defeated, you would say. Sometimes I will admit it. It's hard for a parent
People don't want to admit that. Like,
admit that. It's
yeah.
very hard, but that is how I felt. I will be very honest on this one. But the reason I do that is I want to tell people that it's okay, to feel this way, because it's so hard to watch them going through these things. But this is the thing: never give up on your children, because they all have the X factor. All humans have the X factor. Nicole has the X factor. I have the X factor. Everybody listening here has the X factor, and you need to find it in your children, and you need to nourish that X factor, whatever it is. It doesn't matter for you. Maybe it's crazy about this game that they love, but you need to nourish it. Don't criticize, don't judge. I want you to tell people, like, how do you help them? Because you have this like leader coaching thing going on, and I found you through speaker coaching, so you have a lot of things that I believe. Like I say, when I say, like, Nicole, she's on the level coach of coaches, I would say. The top level of this Jedi tribe of these coaches. Nicole, she's sitting in the council of the Jedis. So tell us about that before we leave out. Like, how do you, like, what do you do, and how do you do it? Like,
so I know we talked a little bit about the speaker coaching, and I do enjoy that, but executive coaching, I work with leaders, really helping them unlock their potential and to realize their vision, right? I feel like so many people forget who they are, especially when they get at this leader level, CEOs, C-suite, VPs, whatever that level is. You start having so many people under you that are reporting to you, and you just kind of start forgetting, like, what is it that I wanted to do? What is it that I wanted to become? Where is it that I truly want to go? And I may need help. And so I work with senior leaders. I do deep dive sessions. So you and I just had about an hour and a half. Usually my deep dive session is about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And we just get into it and really try to see where they want to go in working with me. I'm a customized type of coach. I don't believe one shop fits all. And so I don't really sell anyone anything that's like, okay, we're going to go this step, and this is what you're going to do. No, what is specific to you, Eduardo, that you want to work on? And let's discuss how we can get there. A coach is to really make you be accountable and walk you through your journey. A coach is not there to tell you what to do and how to do it and when to do it. I am pretty firm, and I definitely love to challenge. So I hold you to your task, but I am a coach because I truly believe, as you believe there's an X factor in everyone, I believe everyone has a song to sing and everyone has a purpose in life. And so sometimes we just have to drill down to figure out, are you still leading your purpose, or have you left it behind and you need to find it again? And so I'm there to help people continuing to be successful.
That's amazing. And now I will say it publicly, because we're on the show. So now I already said so much about myself that I haven't said before. Like I said, for me, you're like a key, like a lock opener. You open people's self locks. You do that. That is your major skill, I would say. And you do it really good, my friend, really good. So I want to take myself, I would say, like, I want to propel myself another level. I always challenge myself. So now I have the courage to speak, to have my podcast. I need to improve. I need to talk less. It's not about growth, I would say. I want to be more, I would say even more myself. And my next big fear is TED Talk. I have so hard time with that. And I also need, I think, more coaching confidence in myself. I still think I'm still that kid. Like I said, I'm still vulnerable, even if I want to pretend I'm not. So Nicole P. Jones, I want to join the Nicole P. Jones sessions. So let's talk about that next week, how we could do that, because last time we were going to do it and then it never happened because I went on another trip with my writings and posting and stuff. But this time,
like I said, I'm always going to be here.
Yeah, I feel now is the time to get a really good executive coach, and I want it to be Nicole P. Jones. Now it's said. So anybody contact me about that coaching, it's the spot is occupied by Nicole P. Jones. Actually, that it's taken by the counselor member herself, Nicole P. Jones. And this is most amazing about your profile is that people also view Lorena Costa, Rachel Beck, two amazing persons that like are doing like fantastic thing on the network.
Yeah, I was actually, I don't know if you know this, but I was actually Lorena's coach for
you were. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's how we met. So, you know, I only say that because she's been very public with that before. But if people work with me, I'm very confidential and I don't tell people who I'm working with. But they're welcome to tell people if they want to. But I'm very confidential. That's always been how I've run my own business and coaching. But also, I always worked in roles where I always had private information that couldn't be disseminated to the public until it was time. So I had so much stuff that came my way that working with confidential stuff is my shtick. So if you work with me, it's in confidence, and that's just how I roll.
After I did my first live, it came like this. I said, today I will jump in the river. And then I started to like send messages to people on LinkedIn, right? Like, hey, I will go live today. You need to join. Like, people started, and I thought, okay, nobody will join Eduardo. And then it's like Rob Houses. Everybody started. Like, I had like, who more? Acosta, yeah, like Enrique Acosta. He came also on the show. Like all these amazing people. I was like, oh my God, it's unbelievable. And that was actually the start of the show. Now, after that one, I was like, oh my God, where should I propel this? You know, like, where should I take this? This is amazing. And then I said, like, I need to do a proper show, I thought. And then I did this drawing that I shared with you.
Yes! You sent it and I was like, what? I'm going to be on the show? Like, I remember that. Nicole and Eduardo, Monday Live.
And I would like, for me, like doing a show, I thought like Saturday Night Live, you know, I went like ballistic after the first time. I was like, oh my God, I talked to a camera.
You were in it to win it after that. Like, honestly, like the excitement that you've had, like, okay, from when we first talked, there was a lot of things going on. You were switching jobs, different things. You had left a job. There was so much stuff going on. You're like, this book is really something that I want. I'm like, write the book, just get it out, do what you want to do. Like, it's going to be amazing. And then you're so funny because what I love about you is that it's cute because Nico is definitely your child, because you have so many things going on in your head. And I remember we first met, you sent me, I don't even know how many different ideas, a speaker thing, of different logos. There was so much stuff that I was like, how do you do this? How do you just come up with all this stuff? And I'm like, I feel like, oh, I don't know. You just put yourself out there. And so I laugh when you say, oh, I don't know about putting myself out there. And I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, you're putting yourself out there and I'm not. Like, I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, what kind of show is it going to be? Like, what are the topics? Like, are we going to have to talk for a long time? Like, you're just like, let's just do it. So, you know what I'm going to say to you is, don't underestimate your jumping in, right? Because honestly, if this were Texas Hold'em right now, you went all in, my friend, all in on that bet. And so, yes, Nicole and Eduardo Monday Live didn't happen, but Ricardo Live did. And I will be honored to be on your show anytime you'd like me. Because it's just like, I just laugh because I'm just like, you were like so quick. Like, I did it was a weekend thing. You called me. I didn't know it was going to be posted on something. I'm like, wait, what was that? What did we just do? I thought we were just like, going back and forth. And then all of a sudden it's like, you had to talk with me. You had to talk with so-and-so. I was like, oh, is this like his introductory to a show, or what was he doing? But I just love, because you just do it. You just put yourself out there. And I don't know if you realize that, but you really do. You put yourself out there.
I don't know. I just follow the path of the universe, I would say. But I will add all the links on the description that Nicole will send to me, so you will find everything there. Michael Jordan, if you tune in, I came before you. Yeah, so you know, like, you need to pick your ticket like everybody else. Like, we treat everybody the same here. Stand in line. But for you, maybe I will give the path. Okay, you know what I mean.
Yes. Okay. Well, as of right now, I think you're first in line, so he'd have to get behind you. So Michael Jordan, if you're listening, please know I've been such a fan for years. But no, it has been a pleasure to talk to you live this way. Again, as I close, I'm very proud of you and all the growth that you've had over the last year and a half. And I just really look forward of continuing on the journey with you in one shape, one form or the other. So I look forward to seeing where this year is going to lead you.
Wait 1 second. How can I print screen and at the same
Make
time
the change, rearrange, and life seems strange, but you gotta keep your aim, stay focused on the game, don't quit. Quitters never win, winning all begins when you begin to believe in yourself again. Yeah, ready, fire, aim, gotta get
okay, now people will for sure start.
Positivity takes sweet like a Kit Kat.
Okay, Nicole, how to do that was amazing.
Thank you.
Take care, my friends.
You can change anytime.